Hi, Keith Carmona here for Scattered Comics and the fifth installment in Writing for Comics. So we started with working with an idea, writing those ideas down, turning them into a script, and so now in this fifth installment, I want to go over pitching your idea script. Pitching your script at a convention. It's something that obviously I know pretty well, and so here's some tips and advice on pitching your script while you're at a convention. Which, by the way, in many cases, it's a good idea, especially with independent publishers, to pitch that idea. But there's some definite pros and cons to doing this, and there's for sure some do's and don'ts. So I just want to share some of those things with you, things that I picked up from some fellow artists and creators, and so I put a few things down for you. Some pros, actually. The great thing about pitching your script to somebody in person is, again, that's the main thing, is getting personal. You get to know a creator, or get to know artists, or get to know publishers right there firsthand. And that contact is sometimes really good. We tend to get impersonal sometimes using email, or that's fast and convenient, and sometimes that's a good way to maybe set up an appointment, or do a quick pitch. But doing some face-to-face time, that nothing replaces that. You can also get on-the-spot references. If your idea or your script is a good one, you get some positive feedback on that. While that person or that publication may not be the right fit for you, or may not be published, smaller presses sometimes limit the amount of titles they do a year, or new projects they take on. They might have someone in mind for your project. And so it's, again, networking is kind of a nice thing to do when you're going to a con also. So maybe the people that you had targeted for this aren't the right folks for your job at the time. They might know somebody who is, because as much as they've succeeded, they want to see you succeed if they like your idea. And obviously the most obvious reason is to meet potential artists and publishers. There's a lot in the indie comics scene. It is a multi-million-dollar business, and again, a good way to meet up with them are conventions. So definitely check your social networks. There's a lot of really great groups out there, and they're usually advertising a lot of the cons and stuff in your area. So definitely want to check that out on your social media. Just some cons to be aware of. So you've written the script, you really like it, and you've gotten some good feedback maybe from other areas before you hit the cons. You're either going to have to either do it yourself if you want to move along at the pace that you want to move along, or you're going to have to hire somebody. And shameless plug here, if you want to hire somebody, you can first check out scatteredcomicstudios.com. That's where I go for my artists, and they've got a lot of fantastic artists there, and usually their work is available online. You can take a look at that. There's also many other artists around as well, and you can check out various publishing sites. And again, going to a con is a good way to pick up those business cards, make those contacts, and check out their work online. You've spent a lot of time on this script. You don't want to have to rush in and jump at the first person, right? Who says, hey, I'll pay you, I'll go ahead and do your work for you. Here's my rate and things like that. You don't want to jump right at the first offer. You definitely want to shop around and make sure that the artists and the colorists are meeting your needs and what you're envisioning the script to be. So it's okay to be picky. It's okay to be choosy. Okay. Understand also that when you're at a con, time is precious. So if you've got a script idea you want to pitch, your pitch should not last more than, say, 3 or 4 minutes, really. one or two is actually fine if you can, give a quick synopsis on that in a couple minutes or so. Because depending on the con and stuff, and depending on if the publisher or the artist is, pitching a new book or something like that, there may be people actually waiting to see them to buy their new book, or that kind of thing. And we love to meet new writers, but keep in mind that the con is also a place for them to meet with fans one-on-one. And if they've got a big promotion going on, the time is limited. So if you can do your pitch, within 1 or 2 minutes, that's great. Probably not more than 3. If you want to go on and talk about your entire saga for a good, 10, 15-minute stint, you're probably not going to get a good positive reception. And of course, want to make sure you do get some positive feedback. So make sure you kind of, prep your pitch before you go. Also, keep in mind as a writer, writers, even fiction writers for short stories and novels and that kind of thing, this isn't necessarily their full-time job. Very few writers, have this as their bread and butter, like the complete thing that they do. So don't quit your day job just yet. This should be fun. It should be sometimes a struggle, and that's okay. It is for just as much for writers as it is artists, getting their name and their work out there. And so just kind of keep that in mind. This is not kind of a get-rich thing. I mean, as much as artists and writers would love to be able to quit their day job and just do this all the time and make plenty of money for them and their families and things like that, the reality is they're struggling just as much as you do, but they love what they do. Okay, keep that in mind. And so we love to hear from you. We love to hear new, fresh ideas. But just don't make sure you don't say, "Hey, I'm a writer now. I've got this comic I'm coming out with, and so see you later, day job." Right? So let's ease up on that. So those are just some of the pros and cons. Some do's and don'ts. Definitely get contacts, okay? While you're out there, pick up business cards. Write down, bring a notebook with you, right? Write down websites. Make sure your camera is charged. Take pictures of information, that kind of thing. So you can, once you're done with a con, you've got all that information, you can scroll through and start picking out potential book publishers, artists that you met that you think would be, stylistically fit with the story that you have in mind. Another thing you definitely want to do is buy issues, okay? Grab some money. Usually the issues aren't that expensive, right? You're going to, not only are you going to get some contacts that way, but you're going to see what stories are selling, what stories they're interested in if they're a publishing firm of sorts. See what has been successful for them. You can even ask them, say, "Hey, I really like this particular comic here. How's it been selling? What's the reception been like?" And 9 times out of 10, they're going to talk, they're not going to BS you, right? They're going to tell you, "Hey, it's been selling pretty good. We're thinking on moving on," or "This is some of the stories we're looking for." But you buying their issues, right, is in a way a kind of a nice little, not only thank you for them, but they're going to be more receptive to your idea. I'm not saying you're buying their friendship or anything like that, but if you're a serious writer, okay, and you're going around getting all these different copies and different samples and you're making contacts and stuff, that shows them that you're serious about your work and you're serious about supporting the craft and supporting independent publishers. So those little purchases go a long way, okay? And again, pitching your ideas is a great idea. Just keep it short, keep it simple. If they're really interested, go ahead and if they ask you for your information, maybe have your own card ready to go. Maybe have like a website where you publish pieces of your work, things like that. Feel free to give that to them. And if they're interested, they'll definitely reach out. What you don't want to do is you don't want to bring your script in hand and say, hey, here's my script, and just hand it over. As benevolent as I of all the ones that publishers and artists that I've met, I haven't hardly found any that are bad or anything like that. I have heard some bad stories though. So remember, your work is your work, and don't just simply hand it over. Even if you get an email correspondence later on, I would hand over part of your work, like maybe 3 or 4 pages, right? Maybe with a one-page synopsis of the storyline in its entirety. But don't just give anything away. That is yours, okay? That is your property, and cherish it. You put a lot of work into it, so don't just hand it over. Even if they're a best friend or something like that, okay? Friendships can be broken that way. Again, don't monopolize the artist or the creator or the publisher's time. If you're interested in their work and what they're doing and a particular artist, absolutely, they'll be more than happy to talk about it, and talk about them, their work, what's coming up, things like that. They're happy to do that. And the other thing you don't want to do, just to kind of wrap this up here pretty quick, is don't expect free services. Okay. Again, as much time and effort as you put into your story, they put that amount of time and effort into their art, and you have to respect that. There is some really good price lists in general online that'll tell you what should I charge, what are artists going to charge for sketches, or what are they going to charge for coloring, all the way down to lettering, okay? And like I said, there's some very good resources online on that. And so that pretty much wraps it up for Writing for Comics. I hope you have found this series helpful. I really enjoyed doing this. Again, if you like what you see here and you actually want to see some of the work that Scattered Comics is doing, feel free to check out some of the accompanying videos here. We also have a weekly vlog called Scattered Thoughts, so we just started. It's hosted by Jason Doobie, so you can check that out. Again, just continue to come out to the cons and continue to write. Everybody has some great stories to tell, and hopefully yours will be the one, right, that makes it not only to print, but is very successful. I am wishing you all the success in the world. Keep creating, keep writing, and for now, we'll see you later.
Thank you everybody for watching our video. Please check out these other cool videos you see on your screen. You can help Scattered Comics and its creators by going to the description below and purchasing any of our cool stuff. Give our video a like and don't forget to subscribe.